Yo, what's good everyone? So if you didn't see my Scream video, this is a new series where I answer the question, will this new champion be good for Battlegrounds? A average Battlegrounds defender has around 350k health. We're going to see how fast Jack-o'-lantern can take that down. On top of that, we're going to be checking out which common / problematic Battlegrounds defenders Jack-o'-lantern will counter. And we're going to be seeing if Jack-o'-lantern is any good on defense. Now, this is a Battlegrounds review, so I don't care if the champion is good for long form content, story content. In this video, I'm just trying to see if he's good for Battlegrounds, so the review will be based solely on that. Now, before we jump into Jack's rotation for Battlegrounds, I'll quickly explain how to play him. I won't deep dive into his abilities, I'll simply explain how to play him. So Jack doesn't crit, but when he would crit, he inflicts a burst of incinerate damage. It will be plasma damage if you're fighting against the mutant champion. Each 3 crits, or every 3 times you would crit, you will gain a inflamed passive. And the inflamed passive, it grants you extra attack, extra ability accuracy, and extra energy resistance. So he's a very simple champion. You just hit your opponent up until your SB2, hope you get good crit RNG, so you build up your inflamed passives, and then drop your SB2. Your SB2 will inflict incinerates and poisons, or plasmas and poisons if you're fighting against the mutant champion, and rinse and repeat. If you're fighting a longer fight, you want to go for SB3, but this is a video based on Battlegrounds, and you're not going to want to go for the SB3 in Battlegrounds, that's for sure. So as you can see here, I'm at 6 of my inflamed passives, going to drop my SB2, and that deals some massive damage. We're using a rank 3 7-star here, but we're going to be testing out the ascended 6-star as well. So we're quitting out of this fight, and that was almost 400k HP in 35 seconds. 400k HP will pretty much kill any Battlegrounds opponent, and that was in 35 seconds. So as a rank 3 7-star, Jack is going to be very, very fast. So he's definitely got the damage for Battlegrounds, but has he got the utility? Is he good for enough tricky / problematic defenders? I'll answer that question soon, but first we're going to be checking out how fast the 6-star can take down a Battlegrounds level health pool. And same thing here, even though it's going to be a longer fight with the 6-star, we're going to play him exactly the same. You just need to hope you get good crit RNG, work up to your SB2, drop that. And of course, since we're using a 6-star, that's not going to be enough damage to kill most Battlegrounds opponents, unless you're fighting another 6-star. But most defenders nowadays are rank 2 7-star / rank 3 7-stars. So most of the time, you're going to have to go for 2 SB2s if you're using a 6-star Jack-o'-lantern. But yeah, that does plenty of damage. Those poisons and incinerates do plenty of damage. This was almost 450k health in 50 seconds. So a 6-star Jack-o'-lantern can kill pretty much any opponent in Battlegrounds in 50 seconds, which is really, really solid. So now we're going to be looking at Jack's utility and his matchup sheet. So let's look at his abilities here. If we take a quick look at them, it's very clear that this guy was made to be a hard counter to onslaught. He can parry non-contact attacks, so he can parry onslaught. He doesn't crit, so he's not going to be inflicted with many neuroshocks. And he's immune to reverse controls, so dexing onslaught's SB2 is going to be much easier for him. On top of that, Jack's SIG ability gives him a regen when he's suffering from energy damage passives. So this includes Domino's crit fail or neuroshock damage. When Jack has those on him, he's going to get some regen, which is really nice. And also during the opponent's special attacks, he's going to gain a bulwark buff. So this is just going to make him much tankier, going to be able to let him block a lot more special attacks. But he definitely does not need his SIG. He's definitely good unduped. He can do everything he can duped, unduped. So quick practice fight against Onslaught here. You can see we can parry him, no problem. He pretty much counters everything about Onslaught apart from the crush debuff. That's the only thing you still need to watch out for. Block the hit of the SB1 there to get a neuroshock on me. And you can see I got a regeneration passive on me there. So yeah, he's going to be one of the best Onslaught counters. So if you have problems fighting Onslaught still, Jack may be the champion for you. Going to bait out Onslaught's SB2 here just to show off the immunity to reverse controls. Also, when you land your 4th light attack, this will inflict the opponent with a cowardice. And what this cowardice does is it makes them 35% less likely to throw a special 1, which isn't very reliable. It's kind of like a intimidate, but not very reliable, or I would not rely on that cowardice to stop the opponent throwing a special 1. Will he be a good domino counter though? Yes, because each of his inflamed passives grants him extra ability accuracy, so once you have enough of those on you, you're going to completely counter domino. And he has that regen, so if he's max sig, he's going to pretty much regen most of the critical failure damage. But he will take some critical failure damage before you can ramp him up with the inflamed passives. So that automatically makes him worse than the best options like Prowler, etc. So he's going to be a decent option for Domino. Not the best though, he's going to be a good backup option for Domino. But which other defenders will he be good for? He'll be one of the best options for Onslaught. As I mentioned, he'll be a decent backup option for Domino. He'll be very good for Bishop because he's Incinerate immune, so if Bishop throws his SB1, no problem there. Plus against mutants, he applies Plasma instead of Incinerate, so he's not going to take any damage back off Bishop. He doesn't crit, so he's going to be great for Havoc because as long as you don't crit, you're not going to get many Plasmas on you, so you're never going to take any detonation damage. Would have been nice if he had a armor up buff, but he doesn't need it anyway against Havoc at least, so doesn't really matter. He's going to be great for Weapon X because most of his damage is damage over time, and of course Weapon X can't regen any of that. Plus he has poisons which will shut off Weapon X's healing. He'll be great for Dust. The main reason Dust is a good defender is because she's really tanky because of her critical resistance, but again, most of Jack's damage is damage over time, so even though he is pretty crit reliant, he should still be very good for Dust. He'll be very good for Storm X because Storm X can't glance his special attacks, and that's where most of the damage over time comes from. So yeah, should be great for that. Should be great for Mystic champions because he does not rely on any buffs, so you're not going to be feeding MD. So yeah, he'll be great against Mystic champions, apart from Mephisto, because Mephisto is Incinerate and Poison immune, which are the 2 debuffs Jax rely on. So he's not going to be a good Mephisto counter, even though he is Incinerate immune, which is pretty disappointing. We do actually need more Mephisto counters for Battlegrounds. Mephisto's a pretty solid defender in there, so if he countered that, that would have been nice, but it's not the end of the world. And of course he'll be great for Thing because most of his damage is damage over time, so that's going to bypass Thing's protection. Now we're going to do a little fight against Jack to see if he's any good on defense, and I'll give it to you straight now. He is straight ass on defense. He does nothing, literally nothing. You don't even have to dex his special attacks. You can just dash back and outrange his special attacks. It's like fighting Iron Fist. So no, he is not good on defense whatsoever. There's no nodes, there's nothing that could make this guy a tricky defender, but that's okay because he is a very solid attacker. As you can tell from the list of defenders he can take, he's pretty versatile. There's probably some more defenders that I haven't thought of that he could take as well, but the problem with Jack is he relies on 2 different damage over time debuffs instead of just 1, so that means there's double the chance for champions to be immune to his damage over time effects. He's going to suck against Incinerate immune champions, and his damage is going to be a lot worse against Poison immune champions. I wish he only relied on Incinerate instead of Incinerate and Poison, but at least he inflicts Plasma against mutant champions, and no one is immune to that. So Jack is pretty versatile. I think he's a very good addition to the game. I think he'll be solid for Battlegrounds. If you have trouble fighting Onslaught, you'll definitely want to pick this champion up. I don't think we'll see this guy in many Celestial decks, but that's because there's so many OP champions for Battlegrounds now. I don't think Jack is quite up there with the most OP Battlegrounds champions, but I definitely think he's really solid and he will make a lot of decks and he will make an impact. But yeah, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate it if you'd leave a like, leave a subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think about Jack.